from a governance perspective, I need to unite the country because the country is so deeply divided that there is such a trust deficit, not only between the government and the people, but also amongst Nigerians themselves. Nigerians from all walks of life currently do not trust each other, so I think it's important to rebuild trust. The third thing from a governance perspective is to ensure that there's full accountability by all public officers, whether such officers are actually elected or they are technocrats that exist within the bureaucracy. So we need very strong governance and accountability systems in order to make it work. So that's from a governance perspective. We need to reform public institutions in terms of the judiciary and all other enablers of public service. From an economic perspective, attention needs to be paid to a number of critical pillars in the economy. One is Nigerian industry. To make Nigerian industry a lot more sophisticated by actually revamping industry, expanding output, creating incentives for industry, giving the private sector ample space to demonstrate its imagination and its own creativity, to debottleneck all those things that stand in the way of business, and to improve the way in which government enables business to function. Second, within the industrial space, to pay a great deal of attention to micro, small, and medium enterprises, to provide them with financing and business support. Three is agriculture and agribusiness. By doing those things that restore Nigeria's position back to the times when agriculture was actually booming and thriving in this country. One, by actually taking those steps that enables our farmers to have access to all of the things and the tools that they need. Second, to create an integrated rural economy whereby all of the components that requires rural people to actually function and produce goods and services seamlessly to deliver them to various markets are actually restored, to ensure that we're able to have all-season farming by using all of the water resources in this country to enable irrigation year in, year out, and to be export-driven, and to create a value chain which enables us to actually move from agriculture to agro-allied industries through various value creation mechanisms. We need to create a digital economy as well, because that actually is the wave of the future. By devising certain steps or certain mechanisms that allows us to have a digital ecosystem in this country in tandem with the way that the world is actually going. To make tourism an epicenter of the development of this economy, to link Nigeria with the diaspora so that we can have an integrated manner in which we're able to get the millions of Nigerians who are in the diaspora to actually participate in the local economy and move capital into this country and move skills into this country and move talent, and to also stop the brain drain. So these are some of the economic platforms that we need to have. In social orientation, obviously, Nigeria's values have been eroded tremendously. And what we would like to do is to ensure that we're in a position to reorient our culture and our heritage and our social and cultural institutions, because that is something that is actually required as a bedrock for development. We need to educate our children, empower our youth, and to do those things that are required for women to actually thrive and become very active social and economic agents in our society, and to break that glass ceiling so that women of all ages are able to fulfill their dreams and shoot for the stars. In the area of national security, I propose that we look at security from a number of perspectives. That military security, in terms of upgrading the armed forces relative to number one, skills acquisition, deployment of software in terms of intelligence, combat readiness, and rearming and retooling them in terms of hardware is important. But none of this can actually work for us in the medium and the long term without actually linking it to the need to actually empower Nigerians economically and socially. Unless you are actually able to deal with issues of destitution, poverty, and desperation, the security climate is not going to change a lot. You also need a number of diplomatic tools for purpose of dealing with this scourge of insecurity in the country, by ensuring that we're able to use diplomatic tools through better socialization of insurgents, better socialization of youth, to make them see that there is actually a price to pay for being on the wrong side of the divide, and to actually do everything we can to mainstream them into the mainstream society. So I think these are some of the actions that need to be taken from a national security standpoint.